My wife cheated and is now pregnant. I am 34 male and my wife is 33 female. Long story short, my wife, Anna, cheated on me. I don't know why. She says she doesn't know why. Anytime I ask anything, it's just a river of tears. She says sorry and begs me to forgive her and forget it, but I can't. But leaving hasn't been easy either. We have 2 boys together. She's my high school sweetheart. Our families are longtime friends and are still tight with each other. They've all urged me to stay for the kids, to forgive her since it was one time, to not give up all the good because of one bad. But the worst part is she's pregnant. I found out about the pregnancy from my mother as I had her blocked and wasn't living in the same house anymore. So I demanded a paternity test. She readily agreed and swore she'd get rid of the child. If it's not mine, she's had nothing but curse words for her affair partner. But then all she's done since getting caught, didn't confess, is curse the guy and herself and cry. Or she's threatened to end herself. All she does is hug the boys and cry. I'm waiting on the results. I'll divorce her anyway. But she says the baby is for sure mine. That she slept with him once, whereas we'd been intimate pretty much every night for the duration of her affair. It lasted 2 months, I think. They met, talked, and slept only once, if I'm to believe her. I don't know why, but the idea of the child being mine disgusts me. It feels like she couldn't commit to anything. Not to me nor the other guy. Why was she cheating if I was satisfying her? How is it that she wanted to talk about her feelings with some random man, but not me? How was she sharing her deepest thoughts and feelings with this guy and being with me at once? How does that even work? I've always thought cheating was because you weren't being fulfilled by your partner at home. I've read all these stories of wives leaving their kids, denying affection to their husbands, making jokes at the husband's expense, ruining the men financially, etc. She's done nothing of that sort. She's still the best mother I could hope for my sons. They love her more than they love me. I know she was still the same loving and giving woman I fell for while she was being with the other guy. I saw her texts. One she hadn't deleted, and every other text was, "I love my husband." I don't understand. I can't make heads or tails of the situation. If I did give her a baby, am I expected to forget and move back in? What if I can't do that? It's easy hating the child now because that might be her apes. But what if it's mine and I still hate it? I genuinely don't know how to be without her. Our entire lives are interwoven. Some days I want to go back to the blissful ignorance I was living in. The DNA report takes a week, I believe. It's been 3 days. Sister S visits Anna regularly. I'm angry about that too because she's only visited me twice. Says my wife just looks at our wedding photos and cries. We have a whole junkyard collection worth of pictures and memories. First, she begged me to see her once. I am clueless about how to proceed. It would have been so much easier if she had been a horrible woman for those 2 months that I could begin to look back and hate. But I can't. Life had been as normal and sweet as... I don't even have a bad memory of her I can use to hate her. Our last big fight before this, I can't even remember. So I'm going to see her and my boys tomorrow. I think I'll ask for DNA tests on them too. I know they're mine, but you never know. Maybe I'll do it just to hurt her. Maybe I'll find something and I'll just hurt myself for it. Or not that feels so unfair to the boys. Just how to make sense of this. Yeah. Called her. She was crying again, but agreed to meet with me. I told her I was going with divorce one way or another, but whether we can ever reconcile a few years later or not fully depends on her honesty. First, she was crying and her voice sounded rough, but after a while, she said she would tell me everything. So she does know why she did it. But for some reason, she asked me to bring my sister along. My sister hasn't said anything either. I'm only praying my sister doesn't turn out to be an accomplice or something. Shouldn't be for forgiveness or say think about our kids after I told her how manipulative she sounded. She seemed genuinely shocked to realize how she was holding me hostage with her threats. Does that mean something deeper? Are they the actions of someone who has remorse? You talked to her. She showed me all the evidence and I found out who the man was. I am certain now that she was in fact assaulted. However, Anna doesn't seem to think so. As she says, she didn't fight back and had goaded him, which made him attack her. Cannot update because Reddit is being strange. I have decided to put everything on hold for now and just take her counseling. Nothing else until I get the paternity results on the baby. Thank you so much for all the advice. Update. My wife cheated and is now pregnant. So the DNA reports came back and the baby is mine. I wasn't even surprised at this point. The day we sat down and talked, she told me she had returned home to immediately take her birth control pill. So she was certain the baby would be mine, and she once again said if by any chance it was the other guys, she would abort the baby, and that she had no plans or desire to have kids with anyone except me. Tay. I won't lie, her words were a good comfort to me. I could tell she was telling the truth. I've been reading too many Reddit stories of men finding out their wives were all too willing to have some random man's child. It cannot lie. Even the idea of that made me sick. I asked her if she'd keep this baby, even if I filed for divorce. She said yes. So that's where we're at in terms of the baby. Asked for the other guy, not disclosing too many details. It was a relative of hers, an older cousin who had been harassing her for a long time, literally since before we even met. She just never said anything to me or complained because her family, frankly mine too, are obsessed with the entire family comes before all mindset. I'm seeing this pressure to keep everything together happen to me in real time after all. Anyway, long story short, he had returned to our hometown around 3 months ago and started texting, followed and harassing her. Hence why all the blocked numbers and repeated texts of being happy with me and loving only me. We admitted to sending him a videotape of us being intimate as a way to make him ashamed of her and leave her alone. That she had repeatedly spoken about me and mocked him when he insisted he could do better. He thinks all this goading and insulting had triggered him to attack her, and she never said anything to me because she is certain it was her fault for engaging with him. That if she had ignored him like before, he'd have just left her alone. I've seen enough texts, confronted enough people, and heard enough to confirm she isn't lying. Now I'm just focused on getting this woman the therapy. It turns out she is needed for a long time. I have decided on legal separation for now, but haven't met with the lawyer yet. Our kids will have both of us, of course, and I'm happy to know at least my irrational hate for the baby is gone. It's the only positive thing I'm feeling right now. I'm beginning to think clearer now. Reddit has helped me feel confident in protecting myself. I don't feel quite so selfish now. I will support Anna because she desperately needs it. Our relationship needs work, but that comes second to her health, our baby, and our sons. I'm going to work on this, but I'm also taking steps to protect myself and the boys. I have Reddit to thank for giving me the confidence to do this and not feel guilty. Much thanks for that. I am not divorcing her. It's a temporary separation because she needs to heal first before we can be a couple again. Her response to being harassed by that man was putting herself on me. She admitted our first time over 10 years ago was in part influenced by his obsession with her virginity, meaning our first time happened before she was actually ready for something like that. Her sap response to his text was sending intimate videos of us. Your response to me trying to get some space was trying to seduce me back into bed with her. I'm not a therapist. That attitude is not healthy. There much even I can tell. Right now, her idea of therapy is to pretend like nothing happened and try to get intimate with me at any opportunity. And she takes me saying no as rejecting her for being used. I'm not helping her with this separation, I know, but I can tell I'm not helping her cope by being too close either. A little separation is best as suggested by the therapist and lawyer. Yes, I know she didn't cheat. It's that the title has to be same for an update. I'm not calling her assault cheating.
Am I the asshole for telling my dad? The real reason my half-sister won't be in the same room with me. I'm 31 female and my sister, Ellen, is 34 female. Same dad, different moms. No, I'm not the result of an affair. Ellen and I are not close and never have been. We only saw each other at family get-togethers. Ellen has a husband, Tom, 34. Tom is a nice guy, and when she introduced him to the family, he and my husband hit it off, and my husband ended up hiring Tom to work for him. Tom and Ellen's got married and had a baby. And during this time, they started having problems. I didn't hear this from Ellen, but from my dad and from my husband, who was told by Tom. Tom then started staying really late at work and then progressed to coming over to our house often for drinks with my husband, and by extension, me. He became a regular visitor to our house and began unloading his problems. This went on for about 8 months until one evening Tom was quite tipsy and admitted he'd developed a crush on me. Understandably, this meant he didn't come back to our house. He has profusely apologised for this and we're fine now. But obviously, I just prefer some distance. I guess that whole thing was a wake-up call for him because he and Ellen started going to counselling. During the counselling, he told her about what had happened because Ellen called me and screamed at me for the whole situation. She said she and Tom would never be. In the same room with me again after what I'd done, she made excuses for not coming to family gatherings I was at for a while before my dad confronted her, and she said she and I had fallen out and weren't speaking. I went along with this because I didn't want to tell my dad the truth either. It has been over a year of this. But this all came to a head over my dad inviting both of us and our families to Nye and getting mad that Ellen wouldn't come if I was going. He started ranting at me that we needed to grow up and make peace, and if we didn't want to talk to each other, fine, but not being able to be in the same room was nuts. I got sick of being berated and said I agree, but it wasn't me who started it. My dad then demanded to know what the fight was about and wouldn't let up. Eventually I just told him. He's furious. He called Ellen and yelled at her. He called my husband and yelled at him. He is seething that no one told him and that he has been acting like things are fine with Tom this whole time. Ellen is furious with me for telling Dad, saying I did this on purpose and have ruined things with Tom after she'd worked so hard to fix them. I feel bad for the results, but I also feel like carrying the burden of this rift that I didn't cause were unfair on me in the first place. I kept quiet when I didn't have to, but once I was getting heat over it, it just became too much. Am I the asshole for spilling? Am I the asshole for telling my mother-in-law to take a DNA test if she wants me to take one? I'm 30 female. And my husband is 32 male. I met my husband Stephen at a friend who was a cousin's party. We instantly connected and started dating not long after. We have been happily married for 5 years now and have a 4-month-old son. I met my mother-in-law at his uncle's funeral. He asked me to attend it in support of him. Before we left, his cousin warned me about mother-in-law. He said she wasn't the nicest person, and she had impossibly high standards to meet and can be judgmental, so don't take it personally as she's like that with everyone. I did ask my husband and he agreed that mother-in-law can be quite judgmental, but not to worry, that he will be there for me. I felt like they gave me the sugar-coated version of her because she was terrible. She made a scene about bringing a stranger to a family funeral, but my husband cut her off and said his aunt, who was his uncle's widow, said he could. She spent the rest of the funeral giving me nasty looks and making passive-aggressive comments. She made a scene at our wedding, but that's a different story on its own. But after minimal contact with mother-in-law, my husband eventually got around to telling her that I was pregnant. I expected her to be angry and have a go at him, but she surprised us both and was the complete opposite. She was excited about being a grandmother. She was congratulating us. Her attitude did a complete turn and I grudgingly allowed her to visit. When it was time to give birth to my son, she wanted to see my son being born, but I refused. That's when her ugly side reared its head again, and she caused a scene and was thrown out. He refused to let her visit us at home. My husband agreed, but she rang crying and apologising. She said she was just overwhelmed about being a grandmother and her emotions got the better of her. Against my better judgment, I relented and said, okay. When she first held him, she looked at me and said he was beautiful. I went into the kitchen to get us a drink, and then I could hear my husband telling her to get out. So I went back in, she started yelling. He needed to get baby tested because he doesn't look like anyone in their family. He kicked her out. She took to social media and told everyone that I cheated on my husband and that my husband needed to get a DNA test to prove he was the dad. She got a lot of attention for that. So I made my own post and said, we'll get a test when she gets a test for her son. That just made everything worse. She rang my husband up telling him to take it down. He just hung up on her. Adrian divided and questioned my husband's paternity since she had such a strong reaction to it. Now even my husband is starting to wonder and making me feel like I went too far, and I'm thinking, am I the asshole for saying that? Am I the asshole for ruining Christmas and being upset the only gifts I got from my family were joke? Some background, my family likes to play pranks with Christmas. And birthday gifts, it's nothing new. Female 21, as well as my 5 siblings from 29 to 37 years old, have all been pranked on our birthdays and on Christmas. And usually it's 1 or 2 gifts. This Christmas though, I was the only person to get all joke gifts. For example, I unwrapped a MacBook from my brother, but when I opened it, it was just some chocolate, which I don't eat, so I gave it away. And the MacBook was actually given to my sister inside a bag she wanted. Another gift was what I thought was a book I put on my Christmas list, was actually just the book cover put on a dictionary. When I asked my mom about the book, she told me she gave it to my sister-in-law. This went on with each present my siblings or parents had given me. AirPods was just a charger block, adapter. Gift cards were used and had $0 balance, a card with Monopoly money, and so on, totaling to about 12 joke gifts. I realised I went out of my way to get everyone something they wanted, or they didn't get anything. At this point, I was bummed, so I went to the living room to watch TV with my boyfriend. At dinner, they were all talking about how much they loved their gifts. And when my dad asked why I hadn't said anything about mine, I said there wasn't much to say. Everyone but my boyfriend laughed, and my mom said it was no big deal as everyone else also got some joke gifts. I told her every gift I got was a joke gift and that the ones they got was also followed by the real one. My dad told me I needed to relax as I'm making a big deal about it. And I'd have next Christmas to get the stuff on my list. Not wanting to go back and forth, I told my boyfriend I wanted to leave and we can spend the rest of Christmas break with his family, then go home. My family got mad and told me not to go and to just stay because it wasn't serious. I left and put my phone on Do Not Disturb during the drive, and by the time we got to BF's parents' house, I had several missed calls and texts from them calling me names like ungrateful, sensitive, and childish. They said I ruined Christmas and made my parents upset because I left. The next day, I exchanged and opened gifts with my boyfriend and his family. And one of the gifts I had gotten was the book I wanted, the book my mom pretended to gift me. I posted it on my Instagram story. And not even 0 minutes after posting it, my sister sent a screenshot of my story to the family group chat. And they basically got mad at me for leaving and telling me I ruined Christmas over some presents. They told me I owe it everyone, especially my parents, an apology because my mom spent New Year sad because of my actions. Now, I just want an outside party to tell me if I'm the asshole here. Am I in the wrong for being upset about the gifts and for leaving? Well, after reading their messages and sitting on this for a few days, I'm now feeling like maybe I was upset over nothing and need to apologise to them. Gonna edit as there may have been some misunderstanding. My Christmas list didn't include expensive gifts, nor was I upset I didn't receive expensive gifts. I was merely upset because of being pranked with everything I got and being the only person who didn't get a real present, that is all. Another thing I'll address is I didn't do anything to my family which would warrant them doing this. The last big argument I had was with my sister, which was over a year and a half ago. Thank you for the replies, and I will try my best to reply to comments while I'm at work. Editing once more to add I participated in joke gifts when I was a kid. Haven't participated in the last 10 years because I didn't enjoy it or find it funny, which they do know. I will reply with more info if needed when I'm on break or have time to reply. And I am familiar with the term scapegoat, but truthfully don't fully understand, so I will research that as well. Am I the asshole for kidnapping my baby, causing my husband to have a panic attack? I'm 29 female. My husband is 35 male, and we have a 4-year-old daughter. Recently started working again after having my daughter. Daycare is too expensive, so my husband reluctantly agreed to stay home. It's important to know that he's been unemployed since 2021. He receives benefits. It's also important to know that he's extremely lazy. He doesn't cook, clean, or help out in any way. I was nervous about leaving her home with her father, but I had no choice. When I came back from work, she was clean and sleeping. The next few times I came home, he was either playing with her, feeding her, or out for a walk with her. I was happy. A few days ago, my neighbour told me that as soon as I leave, the baby cries and she cries for hours. My neighbour said that she knocked on our door and he finally answered it. He was sleeping. I concluded that he sleeps all day and right. Before I come home, he pretends to care for her. I decided to take the day off of work. I left home at my regular time, waited 30 minutes and then went home. Sure enough, he was knocked out asleep with his stupid noise-cancelling headphones on. I went to my daughter's room, scooped her up and took her to my friend's house. I waited about 2 hours and I finally called him to tell him that I was coming home early. He called me back saying that he can't find the baby. He told me that he was going to call the police, but before he did, I told him what I did. He called me an asshole and a lot of other words too. When I got home, his mother was there calming his nerves because he has a panic attack. She also called me an asshole. My husband decided to sleep at her house. Family members are telling me that I'm a terrible person. I know that it was extreme, but I don't know if I would consider myself to be an asshole. Update. Sorry I created this account just to post my story. I'm not a big Reddit user. I missed so many wonderful messages from people. The last few days have been crazy. Once I finally told everyone what happened, many took my side. My ex-husband and mother-in-law still think I'm a jerk. My friend allowed my daughter and I to move in with her, which is nice. We were living in a bad area before, so this can be a fresh start. My ex-husband has not asked to see my daughter for the past week. Online, he's saying how I ruined his youth by trapping him with a baby. anymore, I'm in a nice routine with my daughter. I took her to the hospital and they found signs of neglect. I explained the situation. The doctor advised me press charges against my ex-husband. I think I will, but I'm safe. My daughter is safe. To be honest, I probably won't come back on Reddit. But I wanted to thank everyone for everything. 2 weeks before my wedding, my best friend confessed that the reason why me and my fiance got together and will be married is because of her throwaway account, because everyone involved knows my main account. I don't know what to do. I've been sleepless for days because of this. I need to get this all off my chest or my heart might explode. My wedding is on the 19th and my bachelorette party was last Saturday and was organised by my best friend Lucy. I partied with my bridesmaids and had some shots, and they were so excited for me marrying the love of my life, Erwin. We've been together for 3 years. Well, after the party, everyone was wasted and went home leaving Lucy, and I in the Airbnb. I was not that drunk, at most tipsy, so I helped her clean up because I'll be staying the night with her too. While we're cleaning, she's silent, which is very not her. She was very active during the party. So I thought she's just tired, so I told her I can finish up and she can rest. So she went to the bedroom. While I was finishing the dishes, she returned to the kitchen. She told me that she needs to tell me something. So I stopped what I was doing. Then she said she's sorry. She did not expect that Erwin will ask me for marriage because it was a bet gone wrong. I was confused and asked her to elaborate. What she basically told me is that when I first introduced them to each other, she and Erwin had a bet that if he can get me to marry him, she will exclusively date him. Apparently, they have been secretly dating since before I met Erwin. Their relationship was toxic, so they have these constant breaks, but on this particular break, she allowed him to date anyone. That's when Erwin and I met. When I asked her why she's only telling me this now, she said that she felt guilty. She didn't want to hurt me, but she didn't want to take full accountability and acknowledged Erwin's part in this. She was trying to convince Erwin to come clean together, but he refused and told her that the bet was long gone because he was genuinely in love with me already. When I asked her if she still has feelings for Erwin, she answered yes, and she realised how good of a man Erwin is now. When I asked if Erwin knows how she feels about him, she answered no. But if I allow her, she'll confess her feelings for him. At that point, I just left. I had no energy left, even if I want to slap her at that moment. I feel so played and betrayed and humiliated. The two closest people in my life made me a pawn to their sick games. I don't know what to do, where to start. I'm so confused. It's been 3 days. And I haven't told anyone yet, not even Erwin, who is in Hong Kong, not even my parents. Lucy hasn't tried to contact me, and I think she didn't say anything yet to Erwin. The wedding is in 2 weeks. How do I face this? I tried creating a different post cause the update is too long, but for some reason it's not showing. So I'm posting this here. Hi everyone. I didn't expect this post to blow up. When I wrote my original post, I was emotional. Maybe that's why I have omitted some important facts. Also, I am not a native English speaker, so maybe some stuff I wrote was lost in translation. I also commented on my original post about my history with Lucy, if you're interested. Reddit history of how Erwin and I met at a company event. My company was the host and his was one of our clients. We bonded over the after party and exchanged numbers. Days after he added me on Facebook, I actually saw that he and Lucy were mutual friends. So I asked him if they knew each other, and he answered yes, they met during their internship days, but they weren't close. I asked Lucy too, and she confirmed it too, so I didn't make a big deal of it. We began casually dating. No labels, just see where things go. I know that he's been seeing someone else at this time, as I do too. But when we admitted to wanting to make things official with us, we broke up with our casual flings. And the rest is history. Appreciate everyone who reached out. Thank you for the kind messages, and it made me realise to think of my situation logically. So I did. And yes, Erwin and I already talked. I picked him up from the airport yesterday. and told him about Lucy's confessions. He went pale, but he was calm. He told me to ask everything I want to know, and he will answer truthfully. I'll try to summarise everything here. Did he know that I was Lucy's best friend when we met? No. They didn't talk much about their personal lives when they were together. But he knows that Lucy's best friend's name is my name, but when we met, he didn't really put the pieces together. How long were they dating before we met? He did not keep count because they were on and off again, but they were casually seeing each other for around 4 months before we met. And in his mind, they were never official as they didn't label their relationship. He did try to pursue her, but she kept messing up with his head, so when she allowed him to date when they were on a break, he thought of it as a way out. Did they really bet on me? Yes. But he did not take it seriously. He also did not initiate it. When did the bet happen? It happened days after I introduced him as a friend to Lucy. He admitted that since we were still not exclusively dating, he still sees Lucy. Lucy initiated the bet, and if he does win, she will know that he is mature enough to seriously date. When did their relationship end? A month or so before we made our relationship official, he already broke things off with Lucy because he was starting to fall for me. Lucy took it well and did not even bring up the bet. Why all of a sudden Lucy brought up the bet? Lucy started bringing it up after we made our engagement official. He admitted to having forgotten about the bet until she reminded him of it. So when Lucy reached out to come clean, he refused because he didn't really think that it was serious. Is he aware of Lucy's feelings? No, he genuinely thinks that Lucy is happy for us. Right now, I don't know where to go from here. I believe him, but I just don't like the idea that the foundation of our relationship is from a bet. Whether it be serious or not, it's still not good. Can we rebuild trust from here? I don't know, but I'm willing to try. Aside from this issue, Erwin has been a great boyfriend, and I don't want to make harsh decisions about us and regret them in the end. What I do know now is that we need to call off the wedding. He told me that he'd understand if I didn't want to go on with our wedding anymore, but he asked me to consider our relationship because he loves me and he'll do anything to regain my trust back. I also learned that Lucy actually tried to contact Erwin days after the bachelorette party, but Erwin missed her calls. She's still not reaching out to me, but I don't care anymore. Many of you say that she's sabotaging our relationship. This is her last-ditch effort to have Erwin by herself, and I think you're right. It just hurts that our 11 years of friendship have to end this way. So there. I think this will also be my last update. Everything from here on will be Erwin and I's decisions. Thank you everyone for listening, and to everyone who thinks I made this story up, I wish I did. I guess real life is stranger than fiction. I'll be watching Cruel Intentions and Dangerous Liaisons this weekend.
I ruined her life. We've known each other since the age of 12. She is my first crush and I am hers. Our families moved around to different countries, but we stayed in contact. Thank you, Facebook. Fast forward 18 years later, we connected again. She fulfilled her dream of becoming a doctor. I am doing pretty well and well established. The spark rekindled, and many months later, we got married. Best partners for each other. I asked her to come live with me in Canada. She agreed. She said I could become a doctor in Canada too. She arrived in early 2020, then COVID. She studied for the exams. She passed with flying colors. She delayed the exams a little because she got pregnant, and then a miscarriage, tried again, then another miscarriage. She continued applying for medical residency, getting interviews, but never got an offer. It's been 3 years. She's miserable. She can't go back to her country to practice. Her license expired. The longer she is out of practice, the harder it is for her to get an offer. 5 miscarriages later, including an IVFF. It turns out my DNA is fucked up. It turns out that I'm the reason the pregnancy is ending at 8 weeks. She's about to become 35. She's not getting younger. I can see her body hurting because of this. During COVID, my parents had me 5 years old, needed a place to go, so they moved in with me. She always loved them. They love her. But now it's a bit too much. It's stressful. They are old and not the same even from a few months ago. Keep nagging and changing things in the house. She came here because of me. Now she lost her career, her dream. Here she can't start a family because of me. You can't even be at peace in her house. Also, because of me, I even got her a puppy, and the little fucker chose me as his person. I ruined her life. The gem, the flower that I met many years ago, is withering. I feel so guilty. Guilt is eating me alive, It's so heavy I can barely breathe, for most people asking. Her home country is Libya. Libya is currently fucked up and war-torn. She doesn't feel safe going back there. She happily ran out of there because, I'll tell you one of her stories. Working in the emergency room, a group of people came with an injured person, put a gun to her head and told her, if he dies, you die too. I don't know about you, but I don't want her to go back there too.